Today is a new day. We have new things to explore and new pain to endure. So I have to finish putting the brakes on the Blue 82 pickup truck. Last week, we got the wheel hubs assembled and ready to be installed. This week, we're going to go ahead and finish the installation and button up the front end. We still have the rear brakes to put on the truck, and this particular truck has drum brakes in the rear. And in some countries, installing drum brakes is considered cruel and unusual punishment. But that's for future Bo to worry about. So as for today, let's get this figured out. So I have my rotor right here. So we've already repacked the bearings. You can see a bunch of grease on this spindle. I did that because I let this thing sit overnight and I didn't want that spindle to rust. So I just coated it with grease. It's not going to hurt anything. I'm going to leave it just like that. I'm going to slide this wheel bearing, or not wheel bearing. I'm going to slide the rotor onto the spindle, and it should find center fairly easy, just like that. Now, these last few pieces here, and so the tapered edge goes in, so it slides on the hub like this. Pick it up, and that's it, and that's in. Now, if you look on here, you'll see there's a little notch right there. That little notch slides in this keyway right here. That slides in just like that. This castle nut is what they call it. Threads onto here. So there's different schools of thought on the proper way to do this, but I'm going to show you the way that I was taught by the old timers back when I was a kid. So essentially, you get it tight, it should roll. First thing you do is find your hole right there. Hole's right here. All right. So we know the hole goes this way. Yep, till you can't turn it. And then back it off a quarter of a turn until you find your hole. There we go. Slide the cotter pin in, because you're just not allowing this nut to move any. So if it tries to back out, it'll hit that pin and hold it still. There you go. And that is all you need. Take your cap. This is where the term hubcap comes from. This is actually the hub. This is the cap for it. Put your hubcap on. That's it. That's it. Okay, so same story over here. Slide this on. Get it somewhat where it needs to be. Get our other parts. Outer bearing. Shit. Make note of the hole. The hole goes here. Where the cotter pin goes. Castle nut. See anyone do that? Shit. and then hubcap. There you go. That's 2 wheels completely assembled, and yeah, it rolls pretty good. Okay, so as you saw earlier, the brake calipers are completely locked up, so there's really no chance of freeing those up. So I went to my local auto parts store and got a set of new calipers, which are remarkably cheap for this truck. So here's the new caliper. Here, looks, I mean, it's the nicest thing on the truck. Yeah, that's fancy. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this installed, and then I'll touch in here and there and show you some pointers and different things. So the brakes we're putting on this truck are Brake Best's best brakes, I'm assuming. I chose these brakes because they were cheap. I got them at my local O'Reilly's. So there's not really a whole lot to see. Basically, you got 2 pads for each side. There's 2 here, there's 2 right there. So I guess the hard part is figuring out which is which. So this little guy here is a brake wear indicator. This is what makes your brakes squeal whenever your pads are low. This should always go on the inside against the piston. Now, this side, as you can see, doesn't have that, which is totally fine. Like I said earlier, typically the inside pad wears out first. So you want the wear indicator to be on the inside if it's applicable. So this piston that's in here comes out this way. So that's why typically you have more brake wear on the inside. There's ways to prevent that. Like there's some parts that you got to grease with some brake grease to allow this mechanism to slide back and forth. But so that you have an early indication that your brakes are bad, go to the brake wear indicator on the inside like this. Okay, so I got this in. It was kind of fiddly to get it going, but there's a couple things I want to point out. So this tub here is really, it's just brake grease. Yeah, brake and caliper grease. So the whole idea is that this piece is to slide back and forth inside this keeper. So I applied some grease right here along this ledge where this piece and this piece meet. I also did the same on the bottom in the same location. Now the other part that slides around is these pins. So the pin goes straight through here all the way across. Let's see if we can get it to line up here. So you want to make sure that those pieces will move as well. A little piece fell out. So to make sure that this whole mechanism is able to move left and right. So this will help prevent uneven brake wear. So basically just dab a little bit in there, a little bit in this hole here, the top hole, and then go ahead and slide your pin all the way through. And then once you got it through to the other side, tighten it down. Okay, so this is fully installed now. So I greased my pins, I greased my slides, and there's also another little spot right here that I put some grease on. Some people put grease on the back of these actual brake pads itself, the liner here, but this comes with an anti-vibration little piece of sheet metal right here. So I'm not so concerned about it, but right in this hole here, so that's the inside brake pad that has to sit on top of the caliper, and the bolt back there, right, oh, where am I at here? Right here, right there, sits up against that pad, so that keeps it from falling forward. So same idea on the bottom. So it sits in right there. So as long as that's set up right, everything's tight, it's together. The last thing we did here is in the back right here where this brake line is. Let's see if I can get a better angle. This brake line. So I just hooked this back up. So if you look between the bolt here and the actual line itself, there's that little piece of copper. There's one on both sides. Those are called crush washers. So they're pretty integral to make sure that the system doesn't leak whenever we actually put brake pressure on this. So your brake fluid is going to travel from your master cylinder under the hood, we'll look at in a minute, down this line to here. To right, where'd it go? Right here. It comes in there and actually pushes this piston out, pushes it this way. So when that pushes out, that pushes on this pad, which pushes on this rotor, which pushes against this pad, and this whole system clamps down, and that's what grabs a hold of the rotor, which stops the wheels. And that's how your brakes work. Okay, driver's side's done. So again, grease the pins, grease the slides, get everything nice and greased up. Avoid as much as you can getting grease between the rotor and the pads, but it happens, it's no big deal. Got it all hooked up. So we still need to bleed the brakes. Put the wheels and tires back on it. Okay, so the front brakes are done. Next week, if you tune in, we get to cuss a lot. If through pain and discontent, accidentally get the rear brakes put on this truck, I promise you one day I will have this thing driving down public roads. Now, I don't know how to do drum brakes, but I will figure it out if it kills me. So thanks for stopping in to watch this video. If you semi-enjoyed it, drop me a like. If you learned something, share that knowledge with a friend, or potentially share the video. That would mean a lot. And remember, just because you don't know how to do something doesn't mean you can't figure it out. Have a great day.